Hope everyone had a great weekend. Here in Florida, it was a wet weekend. In South Florida, we had a wet weekend. It is so humid. 79 degrees, and it feels like when you walk out of the house, you're walking into a bathtub because we're so much rain on the ground. Hang in there a second. Sorry about that. I had to pre-order my coffee. But let's get down to it. So Rfk Jr. comes out, and after a day that his VP running mate denied he was going to endorse anybody. So she was just trying to not steal his thunder. Now let's fast track forward. The mainstream media, if they would have known what he was going to say, they would have never broadcasted that live. No way, no how. Right? And he had many outlets, especially if you're watching CNN. I was clicking back and forth to look at their faces, and they quickly tried to pivot from what he was saying to discredit a lot of things that he was saying. And I think they were in shock. For people who didn't see it, he eviscerated the Democratic National Committee, Harris eviscerated her, and the mainstream media. It was quite a takedown. I recorded parts of it, and I think I could incorporate it into this video. I did something like that once before, and I got hit with a copyright for showing people a clip of it. But yeah, it was quite remarkable what Rfk Jr. said and did. That was unbelievable. But it's already a lot of things that we already knew, right? We already knew that part of the problem in this country. Thanks, Pat. I think part of the problems we have in this country is that the population has picked sides politically, and that's because the media has picked sides, right? If you watch, depending who you watch, right? CNN, MSNBC, ABC. I'm in Florida, Pat. I'm in South Florida. Kamala Harris, listen, if you watch her, right? If you watch her, I mean, give speeches and stuff, what's not to like? But unfortunately, she has shown nothing. She's shown nothing, right? She's part of the. I mean, if you like what Joe Biden's doing, you vote for her. If you don't, you got Trump, right? That's what you got. You know, I agree with what Tom Cotton said, right? Tom Cotton said that she's running like she's running against an incumbent, like she's not in office. She's running against like someone who's already, like she's not in office, but she is. She is in office. She's part of she's the vice president. She's part of the team. Hello, Penelope. She's part of the team that were Israel's at war, Ukraine's at war. Inflation's up. The consumer price index is up 20% since since 2020, right? And she's acting like she's a candidate who's not part of that. She's not part of it. She's like she's running against someone else. She's part of the problem, and that's part of the strategy, right? I mean, that's part of the strategy. Part of the strategy. Listen, this is true. Sorry about that. I pulled away from my house and I got disconnected from the Wi-Fi. I mean, from when I moved in my house 20 years ago, and my property taxes were $2,000. Now they're up to like $4,000, over $4,000. And my homeowner's insurance was about $2,400 a year because of living in a hurricane area. Now it's close to $6,000, and that's a hard pill to swallow, And I think when I first moved in my house, my mortgage payment with everything's escrowed, right? Everything was escrowed. My mortgage payment, taxes, and insurance were about $1,800 a month, which was if you can believe, a lot less than what renting an apartment is. And I was pretty thrilled about that. Now, 20 years later, my mortgage payment is almost $2,500, which is still below what it costs to rent. Renting in South Florida is a pretty tall task. You find a lot of people, and a lot of single people in their 20s, having roommates. A lot of roommates. It's not uncommon. Not uncommon to have 3-4 roommates nowadays in your 20s, and it's pretty tough. It's nothing like the Florida Keys, though. Man, the Florida Keys, the prices of property values have just skyrocketed. I mean, my uncle bought a townhouse in the Keys like 30 years ago. 30 years ago, used to go down there. I think he paid like 200-something thousand for it. Used to use it as like weekend getaways, here and there. He just recently sold it for close to $2 million. Right? So the property values have just skyrocketed, and the hard part is that they don't have any affordable housing for the people that work down there, especially down in Key West. I mean, my nephew works in Key West. He's a server at one of the bars down there, and he lives in a townhouse with 10 other people. 10 people. Because they can't, that's the only way they can afford rent. That's unbelievable. He lives with 10 people. And it's quite astonishing that that's what Florida's turned into. It was valued, I bought it for $249. Then the property values tanked. And then I was underwater $100,000. Still stayed there because there was no another place to go. And now, fast track 20 years later, my home's worth over $600,000. Right? And I've been there 20 years. I owe less than $100,000 on the house. So I could sell now and profit, on paper I could profit $500,000, right? But where do you go? If I sold, I couldn't stay in Florida, especially South Florida. There used to be a big difference between South Florida, Central Florida is like Disney World and stuff. Like the people in South Florida used to go north in Florida because it was like night and day how much homes cost. In Miami, in Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, it was always higher than the rest of the state. Now, because people are heading north in Florida, it's those prices are still are starting to creep up now, and you could probably get more house, a nicer house, but no, at my age, I'm 57. When I sell, it's going to be my retirement, and then probably stay in Florida because I don't want to deal with cold weather. But head, north of Orlando, up in that area, you can still find places here and there that are pretty decent. All right. Listen, everybody hang in there for a second, okay? If you were here earlier, I ordered my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. And I pulled in front of Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm going to run in there and get it, okay? But don't go anywhere. Should be ready. I'll be back in a minute. Yeah, so here we are. What kind of work do I do? I'm an occupational therapist. If you're not familiar with that, similar to physical therapy, we do the same things. Treat people who have injuries. A little bit different, but it's funny. If someone asks me, I'm just a physical therapist, but I'm an occupational therapist, and I am on my way to the facility that I work at. I was ready to get donuts, grab my coffee, and then head towards my facility. Right, I kind of primarily work the elderly, people that are suffered injuries on the job. I'm in South Florida, Broward County to be specific, Fort Lauderdale. The startup and the mecca at one point for spring break, and I worked at a very famous place called the Candy Store, which was home of the wet t-shirt contest and the teeny weeny bikini contest. That is true. And the Fort Lauderdale Strip, Penrod's on the beach, Summer's on the beach, the Button, the Candy Store. The place was out of control. It used to be a right on A1A. You could park on A1A. You could do you could park at A1A. People used to cruise the strip. We all had a good old time. But this is what it looks like this morning. Enough here. I'll show you what's going on. Ready? Hold on. There you go. That is That's what the sunrise looks like. That's the sunrise. Probably looking east towards that's the that's the sunrise looking towards the beach. From here, we're probably about 8 miles from the beach. Yeah. We've had a lot of rain. A lot of rain. This weekend was, like when they say it's a washout, this weekend was a washout, man. We had so much rain. Where's everyone else from? Yeah. So, to start the stream, I was talking about Rfk Jr. and the old takedown, the takedown of the media, the takedown of Harris, the takedown of the DNC. I mean, he talked like someone who was scorned, right? Someone who was pretty pissed off. He was pretty pissed off. I had a house over by the airport, and when they had the flooding, it got flooded out. Oh yeah, man, that was crazy, right? I'd never seen anything like that before. Have you? I've lived in my whole life. I've never saw the whole airport get flooded out like that. LA. Wow, you're up early. Oh. Let me see. I've been to Orlando numerous times. Is your area destination vacation? Is your area a family destination? Oh yeah, Fort Lauderdale's a destination. You know, Florida's if you're someone who's going to the beach, right? If you want to go to the beach, a lot of people vacation in Fort Lauderdale. You hear a lot about the Miami beaches, right? South Beach and stuff like that, but it's way expensive, super expensive. You know, I live from where I'm at, probably on the interstate. I can get to Miami in 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I rarely go down there. Rarely, if ever, go down to Miami or South Beach or anything like that. It's just too expensive. It's like never-ending construction, right? They're always doing something. Always. They're always 100% doing something. It's like out of control. Every time they work on a road, or something, it's never ending. But they have so many people moving to Florida and moving in. I don't know of any speech therapists who need a job. Not really. If you want to send me a message in your contact information, I can always pass it on. I do interact with speech therapists. Is it a full-time job or is it like per diem? Oh, besides Florida, I've been all over the United States, except for I've never been west. I've never been out to California. Up and down the East Coast, throughout the Midwest. I've been to New York, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Nashville. I've been through the mountains of North Carolina. I've been through the Great Plains. Been to Illinois. Houston, been to Houston, but never way out west. I've never had any reason to go out that way. Favorite place you would do again? I like the mountains. North Carolina, up in the mountains. That was pretty spectacular. When you live in Florida and you see the beach all the time and everything's flat, it's kind of nice to see something different, you know. When I go to the mountains of North Carolina or something, that's like crazy compared to living in seeing the beach all the time. And it's so funny. Yeah, I bet you. California's pretty cool. It looks nice. You know, I'm sorry I'm eating my little thing here. But anyway, what's everyone doing? Right now you're looking at, I'm in the parking lot of the facility that I work at. And you're looking through the little trees that they have here at the apartment complex over there. So that apartment complex over there, right? Nothing fancy. A little bit of screened in area, 4 stories, probably 2 bedrooms. A lot of these places only have either 1 or 2 bedrooms. Very rare you see 3 bedrooms, but you're probably paying over $2,000 a month. Probably over $2,000. Broward County's out of control. Yeah. That's the norm in South Florida, Broward, Miami. You're talking starting at $2,000 and going up. If you go to Miami, come on, Miami's probably Miami's like $3,000 a month. You go to Miami, the whole family lives in an apartment. I'm not kidding you. You got the grandparents. You got your grandparents, your parents, and the kids. You could and the children and the grandchildren, and you could have. It's not uncommon in Miami that you have 10 people in an apartment. It's not uncommon. They're not even enforcing, they don't even look at it as a fire hazard anymore. And then I went to, this is true. I went to see a patient at their apartment. Right? There's a 2-bedroom. They had both bedrooms had people living there, the parents and the parents' parents. And out in the living room, in the dining room area, there was a mattress on the floor where the kids slept. And that's what you see. You see families who can't afford the rent, and they live. There's 10 people in an apartment. The problem with affordable housing, right? The problem with affordable housing is when you mandate or rent control, right? Like New York and stuff. Over the long run, you create slumlords. You create slumlords because they don't fix up the place. They don't fix up or keep the apartments in good condition. There's no incentive to do it, right? I mean, you see it's a drastic difference when you go to a place that doesn't have rent control, let's say, and you have high um, high rent. Normally those places are really nice looking places. You know, they keep the grounds in good condition. They have security. They have everything, right? Then you go to an area where they have low income housing, that we call it here. The places are like a dive. It's terrible. They don't keep up the property. They have no incentive. You know, right? They just own it because they can't raise the rent, right? So they do everything when they're pushed to. You know, right? When the homes are about to, when the apartment buildings are about to fall apart, and the city comes in and starts hitting them with tags, that's when they finally do something. So, you know, affordable housing or rent control sometimes is not the answer. You know, and trying to figure that out is a major issue. And then you have the problem every time. You know, and here's the hypocrisy, right? Is that if you live in Broward County, everyone knows Broward County in the state of Florida is probably the biggest Democrat-run county. It has the most Democrats, I think over almost 600,000 registered Democrats compared to like just over 200,000 registered Republicans. So everything is run by the Democrats here. They champion affordable housing, trying to create an environment for everyone, et cetera, et cetera. And then when they say, okay, we're going to build an affordable housing community in your city, oh no, oh no, they push back. No, we don't want it in our city. We don't want it in our city. Keep it in Fort Lauderdale. Keep everyone in Fort Lauderdale. Just like I live out west in Broward County, and a lot of the churches are running the churches different days. You can go there and they give out food, right? You pull up and they give you food. No questions asked. The cities don't want it. The cities are trying to put a stop to it. I think they've kind of given up at this point. But they didn't want it because they didn't want, you know, you should see the lines. You should actually see the lines. Well, I'll stick my neck out there. I'm not afraid. No, I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm not the biggest Trump fan. But if you live through the Trump days, and then you go through the Biden, Biden ain't doing nothing for me, man. The problem is when it comes to being the president, usually, I make too much money to get any relief from the Democrats, right? If they said, well, we're going to give you student loan relief, we're going to give you all this different type of relief, I make too much money for that, right? All the loan forgiveness stuff. I make too much money to qualify for that stuff. And then when you talk about, if you're and I don't make enough money to matter whether taxes, and I'm middle class. I'm middle class, right? We're all middle class. We bear the brunt. We'll always bear the brunt because we don't make enough money to matter, and we make too much money for it to matter, right? Yeah, I went to school. I went to Kaiser, a private college. Kaiser. I went to Kaiser, 2 years, and 60 grand. And after 10 years, or 12 years, whatever it is, I still owe 30 grand. So, I'll be paying. I'll be paying for a while, right? And that was the other thing. So when Biden came out and said we're going to come out with saving people money, right? We're going to come out with student loan, come out with new programs, the save program, the whole thing. I said, okay, I'll fill out the application. My student loan payment was $600 a month. $600 a month. I filled out the save application, right? The save application, it would have saved me interest, it would have saved me money, but my payment would have gone to $1,500 a month. You know, that's crazy. That was crazy. So now I'm back to paying with my federal and my Sallie Mae loans. I pay about $600 a month. When I got out of college, I thought I was going to buy a new car. Well, yeah, I got a new car payment, all right. Called student loans. That's my car payment. Yeah. Are you planning to go back to school? No. No. I'm not complaining. I make a living. I don't make, you know, I make a living, but my student loan payment, that's my car payment. I drive a car that's 10 years old. I drive a minivan that has no payment. I thought, hey man, I got the house, I got the kid, we're doing good. Get me a new car. Yeah, right. No, if it wasn't for the student loan payment, I have my. Oh, cool. Yeah, nursing's a good profession, and that's the problem, right? One of the problems is these kids go to college and they get into their area of study. When they get out of college, they can't make any money. They can't make any money. That's a whole nother problem, right? The colleges have all these different programs and the degrees, and no one tells them, hey, when you get out, you're going to have a grace period of about 6 months, right? You have a grace period of 6 months before you have to start paying back your loans. And people get out. We have kids that get out of school with a bachelor's degree or a master's degree who are in debt a couple $100,000, right? They didn't have scholarships. They didn't have nothing. They had to fund the whole thing. Man, you know what type of payment you're going to have on $200,000? Nothing. And then you get into a field where even your bachelor's and master's, your starting salary is 75 or 80 grand, let's say, if you're lucky, right? 75 or 80 grand if you're lucky. And after taxes, you know, you got nothing. You can't live in South Florida on that, but by yourself, maybe if you have a roommate. I know. No, listen, I got a friend who went to Florida State University, has a bachelor's degree in fine art. What do you do with that? Fine art? I mean, are you going to be a school teacher? I don't know what you're doing with fine art. Works as a salesperson. Does sales. FSU, a degree in fine art, and now you work at a local place doing sales. That doesn't make any sense. I think if you want to bring down the cost of college, you have to analyze all these different degrees that they're offering. It's BS. Listen, if you're someone right now going to college, your choices are the medical field, the law field, and computers. And I know people that went to vocational schools, right? They went to vocational schools, and they make a good living. Car mechanics, AC, plumbing, electrical, and they're making over 100 grand a year. No problem. No problem. So you don't have to go to college to be successful, but you got to have another, after high school, you got to have another, you got to have a plan. You just can't graduate high school anymore. You know, you'll be working at Walmart, Burger King, McDonald's, making $15 to $17 an hour, and that's not enough. It's not enough. You know, I know people that are servers that work at the restaurants as waitresses and waiters, and they make great money. They make great money. Yeah. You can always you found a niche. All right, listen, I gotta run. It's 8:30, and it's good to talk to everybody about real life stuff. If you didn't see it, watch the RFK takedown video where he takes down he eviscerates the entire process. All right, peace out. Everyone have a good day. Talk to y'all later.